So there's a deep, deep pain in her heart, and some deep pain that she's carrying with her, um, for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
And she's crying, and I said, "You've come here to let this go, right?
Mm.
You've come here to let this go." It's like for thousands and thousands of years, people have come here, right to this very place, climbed mountains to get here, to let go. You know, we all have our heart set on some material goal, that we think will give us happiness. And this world is meant to keep showing us that there is no real, lasting, completely satisfying happiness in this world that's
Yeah.
seen when the world is seen separate from its root. It appears that way, and then it tricks us, and then we're
Yes.
left brokenhearted, or like it's describing the demons here. What does it say? That they're frustrated, that they're depressed, brokenhearted.
Shameless.
Yeah, yeah. So I said, you've come all this way, and you dipped in that water. This isn't ordinary water. This is water of the spiritual realm. This water is like mercy coming from the realm that our consciousness is meant to elevate to. And now you're letting go. Just let it go. And
Beautiful
it
to
was
see that.
something so hard to let go,
Hmm.
because it was so intimate and personal, and her heart was so given to this circumstance. But I could see she was letting it go, and I could see that over the course of the next hour or so how she began to glow,
Mm.
because I think she didn't have a vision for how she could possibly let it go.
Yeah.
And
And you gave her that. Love, love,
these
love
mountains gave her that.
prevails
This
all
river
trauma.
gave her that. Yeah,
Mhm.
this place is it's not at all ordinary.
Right.
It's not at all.
But you took the time to hold space and to listen.
Well, I did what I
Yeah.
could.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Live from Rishikesh, India, on the banks of Mother Ganga. This is Wisdom of the Sages. I'm your host today, Kaustubha Das, and we have a special guest host today, Kishore Gopi Devi Dasi. Welcome,
Haribol.
Kishore. Good to have you here. The Bright Light of Vermont. She's otherwise
Mm.
known as the Bright Light of Vermont. She's lighting up our show today because Raghunath and Party are on their way here right now. I'm going to meet up with them this evening, maybe just like as the show's winding down. They're probably arriving sometime around that time.
Rob was going to be running towards you
He's always,
for a big
sometimes I say,
embrace.
Raghunath, you can tell a joke once, you can tell it twice, but when you tell it 50, 60 times, and I think you're the only one that's into it. But
I laugh every time. I have to
okay, there you
say.
go. So, all right.
I'm an easy
Well, it's good.
target.
Okay, that's right. But it's good to have you on the show, and I look forward to reading a little Bhagavatam with you and doing the nugget. But also replacing Mara for the day, we have Linda. Linda, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. My pleasure to be here and serve.
It's good to have you holding things down, because last time I tried to do the show entirely on my own, things are breaking down. People were waiting in the waiting room.
I said to Mara, yeah, we can't ever let Kaustubha do the show by himself anymore. He's got to have the support.
There's a lot happening. There's a lot happening behind the scenes.
There is.
Yeah, I
It's a
think
lot.
there's just one button that I had to hit that like lets people in perpetually, and I didn't know to hit that button. Yeah, enable.
Yeah.
So in any
It's a big
case,
job Mara does, though.
oh, Mara's incredible. I she wasn't feeling well yesterday, so I had to do the whole post-production thing, post the show, and I had to kind of reteach myself that whole thing. And yeah, she does a lot. I was up for a long time doing all that work. So she does so much. But it's you today, Linda. You got some announcements for us?
I do have an announcement. First of all, for those that are supporting members of the Sage Community Platform, if you've taken Kaustubha's first two courses of Chapter 15 Bhagavad Gita, The third one has dropped. It officially
Ooh.
landed on the platform last week. So make sure you go in and check it out
Okay.
for the full 3 sessions of Bhagavad Gita chapter 15.
Oh, thank you.
And
Glad
if
that
you're
got
not
it.
a Sage
So
Community
good.
Platform member, please join.
There you go. Any other what about the show tomorrow or the next day?
Show tomorrow at 7 a.m.
Oh, no, actually, no show tomorrow. Did you know that?
Oh, okay, good to know.
Yeah, no show tomorrow.
I love how
Because
you guys always are I'm the last to know.
this stuff it was decided very recently. Yeah.
That's
So
okay.
yeah, no show tomorrow because we're all going to Hardwar, and that's like a
Ah,
whole day trip.
yeah, what a
Um,
wonderful place.
and then Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday Q&A, both Saturday and Sunday at a time of 7:30 a.m. Eastern. So
That's right.
special
Yeah,
time. I'll post that on the platform also.
we'll be doing Q&A live in Rishikesh with maybe a group of just like local people visiting Rishikesh, like yogis that come here, yoga people and stuff like that. We're inviting because we're having a program after that with Raghu doing kirtan and talks, and maybe we'll invite some of those people to ask questions.
Should be
So I think
great.
those would be fun shows. Yeah. All right.
Mm.
So
And
thank
we
you for
have a
that.
BRG meeting today at noon.
Look at you, right on top of it.
David
Jumping
G.
right into things. You were nervous, but now you're like taking over the show. She's
I
ready.
know.
Nervous, excited.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Okay.
stopped announcing every day the times because you can find the times on the Bhakti Recovery website at bhaktirecoverygroup.com. And that's
Okay.
also, you can find the link to that in the community platform.
There are BRG meetings every day. You
Every
just have to
day.
go and check them out. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So nugget time. Kishori Gopi, would you like to read us our nugget?
Yes, please. And
Who's it
also
from?
just thank you so much for inviting me to
Oh, come on.
be here with you today and for this service opportunity. I'm so grateful. I don't feel qualified in any way, but very, very eager to be here with you. So thank
You're
you. And
qualified
to
in
Raghu.
so many ways.
Thank you. I have really good teachers. So today's nugget is from Eugene Ionesco. Is that how you say it?
Eugene Ionesco. You know, I had something open
Ionesco.
on him. He was like, let me
He was
pull
a
it up.
playwright.
Yeah, playwright. I may have closed it. I'm sorry. I had something on him, but we'll just have to read his nugget today. Unless you know more. Oh, here, I got it. Eugene Ionesco was, he was born Romanian,
Mm,
but he was a Romanian French playwright who wrote mostly in French and one of the foremost figures of the French avant-garde theater of the 20th century. All
very
right.
cool.
I wonder if
Let's see what
Martine
that
knows about him, is familiar with him. You know, Martine, give us a thumbs up. Where are you,
Okay.
lady? She does?
Well, I don't know.
Okay, it's all right. Go ahead and
No,
just read
she's
the
not
nugget.
giving any comments. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So Eugene said, cut off from his religious, metaphysical, and transcendental roots, man is lost. All his actions become senseless, absurd, useless.
Oh, okay. That's a bit heavy, Eugene.
Is a little heavy. What do you think about
But
that,
well, I'm
Christina?
with him. No, I'm with him. You know, honestly, sometimes I think that in the world that we live in today, we don't realize it, but just like we look back at past civilizations or different times in history and we say, man, that was absurd. You know, those
Mm-hmm.
people, they really didn't get it,
Mm-hmm.
I feel very certain that in the future, a lot of the things that we hold to be true are going to be seen to be entirely absurd. And I think when you do get cut off, he uses the word religious, which kind of nowadays has kind of a negative, for many people,
Yeah.
has kind of a negative, what's the word I'm looking for again? Negative
Connotation.
connotation. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, if you go back some years, it didn't so much. And if we want to go to the Latin and say, re to again, legion, like to reconnect, it
To
just,
bind back.
yeah. If you think about it that way, then he's saying, then really you're talking about yoga, because that's essentially the definition of yoga is to reconnect, to unite.
Yeah.
So with it, by being disconnected, by not giving sufficient space for the discussion of the metaphysical. We have, the intelligentsia in many ways nowadays is kind of like squeezing out discussion of metaphysical, trying to write it off as some kind of primitive, backward way of thinking. No, no, no. We need to discuss these things. You don't have any proof that there's metaphysical truths are erroneous. It's
Hmm.
it's still wide open until you can create consciousness, until you can do things. Then we can still turn towards metaphysical explanations and transcendental. Yeah, which is I don't know so much his difference. Between metaphysical and transcendental, but that there's a root there that that kind of grounds us. That gives us some footing. And it's footing that's so important because so much of it has to do with how, not just someone's religious faith and where we're going to go after this, and how their religious faith may, I don't know, facilitate lower types of behavior,
Hmm.
friction and judgment and pressure and wars and all of that. But no, like how it can really help us understand how to relate to one another.
Right.
How metaphysical talk, transcendental talk, spiritual talk, yoga talk, how it can help us understand the nature of the self, and the nature. And when we understand the nature of the self, we understand the nature of the self in relation to others. And when we start to throw that out the window, our actions can become senseless. They can become absurd. They can become useless. And I think so much of the destruction that we see in society nowadays, there's destruction of the environment, destruction of the family,
Hmm.
in so many ways. It's a result that we've lost touch. We lost touch. We're working in little cubicles, away from the sun, away from the moon, away from the river, away from the mountain, and we lose touch with simple, basic things that a
Right.
common, simple person will look and say, things are getting absurd over there.
Yeah.
You feel that way?
Yeah. I actually looked up the word absurd because I was intrigued
Okay, yeah,
by
okay, yeah.
that
What you got?
usage. And
Yeah.
it said the term absurd is defined as something that is devoid of purpose, right? Devoid
Absurd.
of
Interesting.
absurd, something that is devoid of purpose. And that Eugene, part of his theater, like how he wrote
The
his plays
theater
and
of the absurd
yeah, it was the
component.
theater of the absurd. So he was trying to reestablish how to reestablish man's communion with the universe, right? And so I was thinking about how absurd is something that's like devoid of substance or meaning. It's more mundane. And when we don't have, as you just said, this connection to um, a religion, a spiritual path, the metaphysical, the transcendental roots to feel that nourishment, then it can feel like our life doesn't have purpose, meaning, dharma. We don't know our dharma,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, and dharma, of course, there's two dharmas, right? So one is maybe dharma that people think of more commonly, like what is my temporary purpose? Like
Dharma. Yeah.
what is my role right now in terms of what I give to society? Am I a mother? Is that my purpose? Am I a father? Am
Mhm.
I, an ethical person in the business world? What is my role? That's one dharma. And then there's this more, then you really have to move on to the transcendental, the metaphysical, to think of, the Sanatana Dharma, the eternal Dharma
Yeah.
of that Dharma that every living being shares. According to these ancient texts, every living being shares this Dharma. It's not temporary, it's not relative to the circumstances, it's not individual. It's something that we all share together, and that is that we are all designed, we are all made to serve with love.
Mm.
That idea. Now, if you can you can say no one can prove that or whatever. Fair enough. Fair enough. There's mysteries in the world, but that idea makes it very clear what is my purpose. What is my dharma? What is my purpose? And and
It
if you
does.
propose, as much of the intelligentsia does, in the past century or so, that everything in this world can be explained um, empirically, or through like that it's all mechanistic, that it's all just a machine, that has come together randomly, and that there's no thought behind it, there's no person behind it, there's no
I don't
intelligence behind it.
understand how people believe that, but yes.
Then you can say, then we would say, then there's no purpose to that. It just happened. They would say, no, no, they'll argue back, no, there's no purpose. But then you have to start to grasp for what your idea of purpose is versus others' idea of purpose. And then you're going to have many, many different ideas of what the purpose is.
Right.
And there's going to be a lot of conflict. So I can see a lot of absurdity, develops from that. But that's why we want to what we're always trying to do here is get to the root,
Mhm.
find the root. We're reading about that in what we're reading about in Bhagavatam, that you have two communities here. Both of them are not quite. Both of them are, we could say, haven't quite fully realized their eternal purpose. The
Mm.
demons, they're far away from. They're like directly opposed to it. The asuras
Yeah.
and the devas, they appreciate it, but they haven't quite let go of everything they need to let go of to live it, right?
Mm.
They appreciate the idea of being centered around Lord Vishnu as the root, but there's something in them too that's mixed in there with it. Well, I kind of like to be in the center too, and I kind of like to enjoy life separately from that root of all existence. And that's when the trouble starts.
Mm.
That's when the world moves in such a way to remind you, hey, isn't it getting absurd? Isn't, things are getting absurd. The devas keep come running back to Lord Vishnu every time things get a little too wild or absurd
Mm. That's like
for
us,
them.
isn't it?
It's exactly like us.
That's like us.
I mentioned this on the show yesterday, but I really think that when we read about the devas in Bhagavatam, in one sense, they're incredibly more evolved than us.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
in another sense, um, we can kind of see ourselves in them as people that want to be good. We want to be devoted. We want to do the right thing, be dharmic, and so on. But we're not quite there, and we suffer for it, and we go through these ups and downs. I think all of us do,
Right.
where
And it
we
can be
become.
easy to get swept
Oh,
up in all of
and
it, right?
more
I
we
just
can.
came from
Yeah.
Hawaii and it's like literally like it's like the heavenly planet on this planet, right? And
Right.
these
Yeah.
and I was there for a purpose and to learn a Hawaiian healing methodology called Lomi Lomi. Um,
Lomi, Lomi.
Lomi Lomi. Yeah,
Okay, had no idea that. Okay.
it's like a healing frequency medicine. So it's body work and energy work combined. And actually, Eddie Stern said the other day when you interviewed him, he said that
Yeah.
yoga is a practice of listening, right? And it's like a
Hmm.
receptivity, like
Yeah,
through
yeah.
yoga, through asana and pranayama. And I
Yeah.
was thinking how that's a similar way that the Hawaiian Kahuna described Lomi Lomi. It's a listening practice of like listening to the body, listening to the person that's in front of you, and then being guided, being curious and receptive to like what you need to do or how you can support them. But
Interesting.
at any
Could you
rate,
teach it
it's
to Raghunath a little bit about the listening part? I love him, but sometimes I
love
feel like he's
him.
not listening to me,
He
even
just
on
gets
the
so
show.
excited. Hmm. Hmm. Yes.
But
Yeah,
please
it's
continue.
holding space. It's holding
Yeah.
space. But at any rate, being in Hawaii, many people go to Hawaii for like their honeymoon or, these different things and are like in just enjoying the land versus like appreciating and feeling the spiritual potency there. Because Hawaii is a super spiritual place. Um,
Mm,
and that can be missed. That can be missed. And
okay.
so, at any rate, I was just thinking about how if I didn't have my rudder, if I wasn't watering my root with my sadhana every day, if I wasn't celebrating the start of Kartik there, and
You're drinking pina
um,
coladas and
yeah,
that's
I
probably
mean, how
cool.
I wasn't doing that. However,
Okay.
it can be Maya's strong, as Jivaji says. Maya's doing push-ups outside the door right now, right?
Okay.
So
That's right.
we are watering the root by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam together, by doing our sadhana. So yeah, I'm not a deva, but I feel that of like, I'm so certain. And then like, oh, pretty bird, right? And then it's like, oh, wait, come back, please, Vishnu, Krishna, help me come back. Right. So
Okay.
I think it's really applicable to us as
Yeah.
grahashtas. Yeah.
I was thinking, poor Indra. I was thinking we ought to do a seminar, write a little book, or do something. The embarrassments in the Bhagavatam, right? Like
Mm,
the, but they're not. But it's not. They're embarrassments. It's when great people become embarrassed.
like Indra
Daksha,
with the.
yeah, Indra, Daksha. Who else? There's others. There's others as well. I was going through the Brahmanas. The Yagnik Brahmanas in the 10th canto. So many examples actually in
Mm,
Bhagavatam where these are people that they did all the orthodox stuff really well,
mm,
and in their intention was that they wanted to be good. What Bhagavatam always does is it doesn't. Bhagavatam is always pushing. Don't settle for
mm,
just mundane goodness,
yeah.
orthodox religiosity and so on. You must go deeper. You must get to the essence. Don't stop until you get to the essence. And if, in order to help you understand that, it'll take a character like Indra, who's praised in the Vedas as the great hero. In
Right.
Bhagavatam, again and again and again, he's getting embarrassed. He's misunderstanding. He's misapplying. It's showing that he doesn't quite have it. Um, he doesn't quite have that full evolution yet. Don't stop until you get it. Don't be satisfied with anything less. And
Mm,
the complete evolution is the evolution to pure divine love. That's it.
mm.
Okay. All right. You ready to dive into Bhagavatam?
I'm ready.
All right.
I
Let's
am
let's
ready.
chant this opening shlokas.
Please.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Ajnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual masters have opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto them.
Mm.
Okay, reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 8. And we read texts 29 yesterday, but let's just start there today. I think it would be a good place to revisit. It was such a interesting verse. You would like
Okay.
to read it? You got it?
Please, please. O
Okay.
king, because of being neglected by the goddess of fortune, the demons and rakshasas were depressed, bewildered, and frustrated, and thus they became shameless.
Okay. So this is the unrooted group, right, of the two. The
Mm,
devas, they may have their attachments still,
mhm,
but they want to be rooted. They want to be connected to that center of existence, Vishnu. The demons and the rakshasas, they're dead set against it. They're resisting it entirely. They're opposed. And so we just read. Did you hear the last couple of shows?
I did. Yeah.
Did you hear about this appearance of Lakshmi Devi?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, effulgent goddess.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of coronated there. And then in a sense, there's a marriage of her and Lord Vishnu. She goes and garlands him, and he accepts her. And she's kind of just radiating
Mm,
good fortune. And those whose hearts are pure, they're feeling it, and they're feeling incredibly blessed by it, and they're feeling joyful. And then there's this little crowd right over here
mm.
of the demons, and they're neglected by her. They're good for, by saying that they're neglected by her. It means like these are the people who good fortune doesn't
Fall
gaze
upon.
upon. Yeah,
Mm,
doesn't fall upon. Exactly, doesn't fall upon. And
mhm.
so, that manifests in depression, bewilderment, frustration, and ultimately shamelessness. It just goes, it can just go so far. So
Right.
it's all of this is kind of teaching this culture of again, always trying to get back to that root, trying to stay connected.
Mm, yeah. Shame is, I took this class with Karuna Care about emotions and how
Oh,
shame is an important emotion to have. And I was just
yeah.
thinking of like,
Right.
they don't have, and we think of it as a negative emotion, but it's not, because it teaches us boundaries, teaches us when we've crossed a boundary of our own or someone else's. And
Yeah.
so that Rakshasha's not having shame is something that's just going to continue them to act in a way that is um inappropriate.
Yeah, it's if we don't feel shame when we act in a way that's shameful,
Yeah.
then there's something wrong with us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then we're not learning and growing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
I,
next
I,
verse. Oh,
you
sorry.
know, oh no, I was just the cultivation of this attitude. I just, it's a bit of a squirrel.
Squ- Kostuba, let's hit the
Bit of a squirrel.
squirrel. Let's go. I'm chasing it.
Well, I went up to David Prayag the other day.
Oh, it's amazing there.
You've been,
I've been once. Yeah. I
and
went last year and took a group. Mm-hmm.
when I got there, I ran into Hari Priya. You know,
Oh, I know. I sent her a message and she was like, the Ganga just does the most miraculous things. Last year it sent me Ragu on the,
yeah.
and now Kastuba. Yeah. How amazing. Come on.
And I'll tell you something. The atmosphere there, you even just, I didn't walk there as people would traditionally do, right? And that would
Mm,
take days and days, and you're climbing up the mountains. But even driving up the mountains is stunning.
it is.
And
Mhm.
and when you spent, I spent 37 or so years now reading Mahabharata and Bhagavatam and other, texts that speak about this
Mhm.
place, speak about these mountains, speak about the sages in these
Mm,
mountains, speak about how the Pandavas walked there at the end of their life. And you begin to, I had never been I've been in Rishikesh, which is really the foothills.
yeah.
I'd never been up in the mountains. I've been in other mountains before, but
Wow.
I'd never been in in the Himalaya mountains.
What a special moment for
There
you.
was some special stuff going on in my heart and my mind.
Yeah.
It was stirring all kinds of stuff up.
Like what? Can
And
you
then,
tell us some of those things?
well, just thoughts of, especially the Pandavas,
Mm,
and the various sages. I think I think if I ever went to Badika Ashram, in Badrinath, I think
mhm.
it would really blow me away, because that's where Vyasa was writing, all of his texts and all that. But
Yeah, the
thinking of
Shamyapras. I thought it was the Shamyapras ashram. No?
the Butterica Ashram,
Okay, Butterica.
okay,
Okay.
maybe there's other names for it, I don't know. But
Mhm.
as as I'm driving up, I'm thinking of the Pandavas at the end of the Mahabharata, who leave behind everything, and you
Mm,
go there to die. I was thinking that how many people have walked up these mountains to die, letting go of everything, setting aside because it's a challenge. Am I one of the demons, or the devas?
save us.
It's kind of like there's always a little bit, because when we get into that world of business, of struggle, of
Mm,
trying to take care of our family, and trying to find the sense gratification that we want in this world,
mhm.
we could, at any moment, we can respond in either way.
Right.
And this culture was so brilliant that they kind of showed that how you could live a life where, like, your duties were laid out, and the prototypes, were there in these books of the Pandavas. You could read about it in the Ramayana and so on. How we're meant to behave, and what we're meant to contemplate, and what should be our priorities, so that you could be trained in your youth to learn Shastra, and learn good behavior,
Mhm.
from really qualified people that inspire you. And then you could get married, where you begin to deal with that material energy, like, more intensely, sex, raising a family, business, making money, purchasing things with money, going out and doing what you want. You know, you kind of have like
Mhm.
a wider range of dharmic freedom there, you know.
Mhm.
But hopefully because you contemplated these texts early in life, and you're still kind of like staying connected to people that have deep realizations, that you're passing through that time in life and gaining deep realizations, enjoying the pleasures of family life, also recognizing that it all comes with anxiety and pain.
Mhm.
And then, so then you get a little bit older, and your kids have grown up and you don't have to work anymore. So you're really letting go of everything. You're letting go of sex. You're letting go of money. You have all day to do your yoga, to do your meditation, to do your uh, rituals, to do
Mhm.
your pilgrimages, and so on. And then at the end, and I know that this kind of thing for a Western mind to hear this, that the husband goes off alone
Right.
and climbs that mountain to die, right? The wife, she's sitting at home. The idea, you know, the idea was that it was unbearable for the family that their father's just going to wander off and live in the forest, live
Mm.
in the jungle, you know, without any protection. But he knows, no, no, no. This is what I'm supposed to do. They would never let their mother do it. It's like we can't allow her to just. So she's just as devoted, just as focused, but she's
Mhm.
staying at home. You know, she's got her space there. She's got her meditation space there, and she's got her beads, and she's wearing a white sari now. She's not dressing up at all. You know, she's got no earrings on or any. You know, she's like,
Earrings?
no, you're gonna have to let them go. She's just sitting there, you know, chanting a lot, you know, and blessing the people, sharing some wisdom with everyone. And
Mm.
but I was thinking, how many thousands, millions of people over the centuries have wandered up here as the last phase of their life where, you know, in it sounds cold, but there's something in it that's tremendously inspiring too. Like when you read about the Pandavas and they're walking up into the mountains at the end,
Mhm.
so much they went through in life. You read the whole thing, it's 100,000 verses of just struggle, you know?
It really is. 48 hours on Audible. It's insane.
So a struggle, right? It's heartbreaking,
Mhm.
you know, and at the same time, they had so many glorious
Yes, they did.
times, but also so much struggle
Mhm.
and so much dharma. But they lived the dharma. They went through it all, and then they're walking up to the Himalayas, and one after the other they drop.
Mhm.
Draupadi drops, dies.
Mm.
Yudhishthir doesn't even look back, right? He spent his
Wow.
whole life caring for her, loving her, protecting
Mhm.
her, serving her. Um, but he knows now I meant to let go, and I meant to just climb this mountain and reconnect with that, you know, with that eternal relationship that I have.
Mm.
How many? And then, you know, that story goes on and it begins like who he sees when he ascends to the higher regions. You're here, like right. When I got to David Prayag, I felt like I was in the heavens. Right, I
Mm.
felt like I was in another world. And then I'm just as I arrived to the place where you go and take your sacred bath, you know,
You
where
hold on to
again,
the chain.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
like again, that's where everyone from the Pandavas, before the war, they were there, you know, doing their penance and so on. You
Mhm.
know, Lord Ram went there to do his penance, you know.
Mhm.
Adi Shankara went there, you know, like
Mm.
everybody's been to this spot. And just as I'm arriving to that other spiritual planet practically. Like I feel like I'm on another planet. I see Hari Priya.
That
You're
was like
here.
a gift from Radhanath Swami.
It was special. It was surreal. It was
Yeah,
surreal.
I'm
Like I
sure.
finally stepped into heaven and whoa, you're here too. You know,
Of
like
course
we're
she
both
is.
here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But but
Incredible.
but just what was sinking into me as I was going up those mountains. And by the way, it's majestic.
It
You know,
absolutely is.
you're just
Yeah.
seeing ranges of these incredibly steep, beautiful mountains, and then carving way down below the beautiful blue Ganga. You know, the waters of the celestial waters of the Ganga.
Mhm. And even the
It's
houses, they're all different colors. So there's like this like rainbow
those
portrait
are
in the
beautiful too.
hills.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But but as I'm going up, seeing that the majesty of Krishna's
Mhm.
creation, and
Mhm.
thinking of thousands and millions of people who've walked up those hills to let go of everything and become deeply absorbed in bhakti. I- That I was thinking how beautiful this culture is. That it doesn't just say you need to believe this or you're in big trouble, but
Mhm.
it gives you a lifetime of brilliant philosophy, beautiful culture,
Mm.
um, a- and just an entire culture of wisdom to prepare you at every stage of your life to be a success, right? Like to be an ultimately
Yeah.
a spiritual success. And people come up to for that final step in these mountains. It was mind
Amazing.
blowing. So
It is.
a lot was churning in me, and that's what's
Mhm.
going on here. The demons and the devas, they're churning. They're working hard. That's what we do in this world. We churn, we work, we sweat to try to get some result. And then we suffer and things turn upside down and we get confused and we get fearful and then we get back working again. And there has to, these sages, they looked at this and said, this is what people have been doing perpetually for ages and ages and ages and ages. We need to set up a system whereby they learn to let go. And if we don't have that in our life, we're not learning the lessons that we're meant to learn.
Right. You in one of the maybe the first year of the podcast, I can't remember which podcast it was, but you said you'll go through the same things again and again until you grow through
Yeah,
them.
until
And
you
that's really
evolve.
stuck with
Yeah.
me. Yeah. And I've had to let go of different versions of me or things I've identified with in order to grow and change that
Yeah.
pattern. Right. And I was thinking about some of my work, as you know, is in grief and then end of life.
End
Right.
of
And
life work.
so
Yeah.
the just trying to fathom being in a place spiritually, materially, where I can be ready to just like be so prepare for a pilgrimage to go and die, right?
Yeah.
To like really be at that level of surrender versus what I tend to see and is more common in our society. I'm sure you know and see is that people hold on so tight. And any last medicine or this or that, whatever it may be, to stay a little longer. And
Yes.
it comes from love, even when we do that for a loved one, but it's
Yeah.
because we can't let them go. Or the
Right.
person isn't holding on so tight and suffering, but won't leave. To get to a point where you're imbibing bhakti so deeply that you'll walk to this majestic place and say, okay, take me, Krishna. And then your loved ones who you've gone through all of these perils and successes with, the whole Mahabharata, right, are
Yeah.
dropping behind you and you're like so steadfast and continuing on. It gives me chills. It's something that, you know, I pray in a lifetime that could be possible, but it's hard to really fathom that, isn't it? I mean,
It's an incredibly rich culture designed to help us learn how to let go. Right. It
yeah,
shows us what to grab onto too, but because you can't let go without grabbing onto something that's
grab on to Krishna.
stable. Yeah,
Mm,
grab onto what's actually stable. When we got to that, so I spent 5 days with a beautiful group of people from Iran who were
mm,
studying yoga,
yes, yes.
and I got to, I had a chance to spend time with them individually too, and sometimes they really open up. And so there's
Mm,
one lady, very sweet, very sweet lady, and she opened up to me and she shared some of this, a real trauma in life, but she didn't tell me that she was the one that actually went through it, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And she spoke about it in a way where it wasn't her, like it was something that she feared might happen someday and wanted to understand it better, but that she hadn't actually gone through it herself.
Hmm.
And then when we got up there and we spent maybe 3 hours there, but we bathed first, and the whole bathing thing probably took us an hour and a half or something like that, just step by step, just taking our time. And as we were all getting back dressed and everything, and then we are getting ready to go up to the Raghunath temple,
The temple, yeah.
then I could see she was upset. She was crying a little bit, and a little shook. People were going up to her, "Are you okay? Is everything okay?" So then I went up to her because I thought maybe she was. A lot of times people get dehydrated on these trips, and then they don't, they wonder what's happening to them, you know. So I went up just to find out. I said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Is this physical or is this emotional?" She said, "No, no, it's emotional."
Mm.
And then she opened up more to me, you know, and she described what I was talking to you about. Actually, that was me. You know, I went through that, you know.
Mm. Mhm.
So there was a deep, deep pain in her heart, and some deep pain that she's carrying with her, um, for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
And she's crying, and I said, "You've come here to let this go, right?
Mm.
You come here to let this go." It's like for thousands and thousands of years, people have come here, right to this very place, climbed mountains to get here, to let go. You know, we all have our heart set on some material goal, you know, that we think will give us happiness. And this world is meant to keep showing us that there is no real, lasting, completely satisfying happiness in this world that's
Yeah.
seen when the world is seen separate from its root. It appears that way, and then it tricks us, and then we're
Yes.
left brokenhearted, or like it's describing the demons here. What does it say? That they're frustrated, that they're depressed, you know, brokenhearted.
Shameless.
Yeah, yeah. So I said, you know, you've come all this way, and you dipped in that water. This is an ordinary water. You know, this is water of the spiritual realm. This water is like mercy coming from the realm that we're meant to, our consciousness is meant to elevate to. And now you're letting go. Just let it go. You know, and
Beautiful
it
to
was
see that.
something so hard to let go
Mm-hmm.
because it was so intimate and personal, and her heart was so given to you know, to this circumstance. But I could see she was letting it go, and I could
Mm.
see that over the course of the next hour or so how she began to glow, you know,
Mm.
because I think she didn't have a vision for how she could possibly let it go.
Yeah.
And
And you gave her that. Love, love,
these
love
mountains gave her that.
prevails
This
all
river
trauma.
gave her that. Yeah, this place is it's not at all ordinary. You know,
Right.
it's not at all.
But you took the time to hold space and to listen.
Well, I did what I could.
Yeah. And then love, divine love prevails all trauma. Like we can actually
It's
let
the
it go.
only thing.
And
Yeah,
then,
it's the only thing.
mhm.
Yeah. All right.
Bhakti, learning to let go. That's a takeaway. That's a
There you
t-shirt.
go. There you go. All right. Shall we
Beautiful.
keep reading?
Yeah. Next
We got
verse.
about 10 minutes left or so. Yeah.
Okay. Verse 30. Next appeared Varuni. Varuni?
Yeah.
Varuni.
Varuni.
Varuni, the lotus-eyed goddess who controls drunkards. With the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the demons headed by Bali Maharaj took possession of this young girl.
Yeah, Varuni means she's like the goddess. When it says she controls the drunkards, she's like the goddess of intoxicants, like that, of
Okay.
alcohol, of intoxication. So that's what they were interested in, right?
There's
And
a
so every
goddess for intoxicants.
that's right, Varuni.
Wow, goddess for everything.
Yeah, not
Okay.
behind everything, behind all the potencies, there's a
Mm,
person, right? Okay.
mhm. Next verse. Text 31. O king, thereafter, while the sons of Kasyapi, Kasyapa?
Kasyapa. Kasyapa.
Kasyapa, both demons and demigods were engaged in churning the ocean of milk, a very wonderful male person appeared.
Okay, this is kind of the moment everybody's been waiting for. They've been
Woohoo!
working hard, and all kind of things have been coming out of the ocean. Some of them
Yeah.
scary, like the poison that originally came out. Then different types of opulences and different people, you know. But what they've been churning for is the nectar, right? This
Mm,
amrit, this nectar of immortality, this rejuvenating nectar that they both, demons and devas, are thinking that's what we need. That's what'll give us stability. That's what'll give us happiness. We need to get this nectar. They're both fixed on it. And then
mm.
this person comes out, and we'll hear who that person is and what he's carrying.
Okay. verse 32. He was strongly built. His arms were long, stout, and strong. His neck, which was marked with 3 lines, resembled a conch shell. His eyes were reddish, and his complexion was blackish. He was very young. He was garlanded with flowers, and his entire body was fully decorated with various ornaments.
Do you know who this is?
Krishna?
It's
Some
a
sort.
avatar of Krishna. It's an
An
avatar of
avatar.
Krishna. Keep
I
going.
don't know. Let's see. He was dressed in, or text 33. He was dressed in yellow garments and wore brightly polished earrings made of pearls. The tips of his hair were anointed with oil, and his chest was very broad. His body had all good features. He was stout and strong like a lion, and he was decorated with bangles. In his hand, he carried a jug filled to the top with nectar.
Okay, so he's got the nectar. The nectar came out. They churned and churned, and here it comes. And it's this incredibly beautiful young man with a dark complexion and just like, just the very sight of him is like absolute beauty.
Mm.
Text
Keep going.
34.
Text
Yes.
34. This person was Dhanvantari, a plenary portion of Lord Vishnu. He was very conversant with the science of medicine, and as one of the demigods, he was permitted to take a share in sacrifices.
Okay, so in the Puranas we can read about Dhanvantari.
Mm,
So
that's-
he's an incarnation, an avatar of Vishnu, whose area of his speciality has to do with medicine. So like in Ayurveda, it's Dhanvantari is kind of like the worshipable deity.
right. Mm,
And so he's come out of there with this nectar that has such potency that it can revive practically like dead people, right? And he's
wow.
just got a jug full of it. And both of them were fixed on this. Now, you see, so much stress because Vishnu told the Devas, just trust me. Give them what they want. Give the Devas what, just cooperate with them. It's like, but when the nectar comes out, what are we going to do then? Are we going to fight for it? What's going to happen? Well, here he comes. He's rising out. This is Lord Vishnu himself in a beautiful form. And he's got that precious fruit
Nice.
of all of their labor right there in a beautiful pot.
Wow.
Jug.
Okay. See what happens? Text
Yes.
35. Upon seeing, Dhanvantari? Is that how
Dhanvantari.
Dhanvantari. Upon seeing Dhanvantari carrying the jug of nectar, the demons, desiring the jug and its contents, immediately snatched it away by force.
Whoa. Okay.
Classic move
Right.
by the
It's
demons.
just like the demons do. Yeah, all the cooperation's gone. As soon as the result was there, cooperation was finished. There was no like mutual respect, nothing like that. There was no even like, who are you, great person, carrying this jug, like, appearing in such a
etiquette.
transcendental, beautiful form. They were so fixated on their own selfish motive
Mm,
that they were shameless. All right, they're
mm,
shameless. They
they
grabbed it.
didn't know boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't know the boundaries.
They didn't know the boundaries and the etiquette. Consumed by ego. Okay, text 36. When the jug of nectar was carried off by the demons, the demigods were morose. Thus they sought shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari.
Okay, so they're not fully evolved. They said, this is what we were worrying about. That
Mhm.
you told us to trust you, and we did, and then now we're worse off than before. Now, not only do we not have the nectar, and we worked so hard to get it, and ate so much humble pie, and went through so much to get it,
Humble
but
pie.
but now they have it, you know.
Mhm.
But their qualification is that they always turn back to him, right?
They
go back
sought
to him.
shelter with Krishna.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Keep going.
Lesson after lesson after lesson here. Yeah, why don't you read one more verse?
Right. If we could just learn to turn to take shelter to Krishna instead of
Always.
all the other things we do. Okay. Text 37. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always desires to fulfill the ambitions of his devotees, saw that the demigods were morose, he said to them, do not be aggrieved. By my own energy, I shall bewilder the demons by creating a quarrel among them. In this way, I shall fulfill your desire to have the nectar.
Very interesting. You know, we hear from the Gita, Krishna saying, I'm in the heart of every living being. From me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness.
Mm,
This verse says so much about all the conflict in the world. You know,
mm,
when our motive is selfish, then that Paramatma within the heart directs us in such a way, empowers our self, in a sense, empowers us to act selfishly. But it always happens in such a way where we come in conflict with one another and we
mm,
cause one another pain, right? We cause one another pain. That, the the thoughtful person, the observant person is looking at the world, and they're not just jumping on one side or jumping on the other side or becoming nihilistic about the nature of the world. They're trying to understand what is it in us that makes us hurt one another, because that's what we're doing all the time.
yeah.
Can we get to the heart of that? Can we understand what it's all about, and can we transcend it? And that's the Groundhog Day of this universe, right? Is that we're kind of meant to learn that we're going to keep bumping into each other, we're going to keep crashing into each other, we're going to keep hurting one another until we evolve.
Mm,
And these demons, they're powerful, they're very dynamic, they have incredible influence and opulence in so many ways. But not only have they not learned it, they're dead set against it, you know. So
yeah.
one moment they're grabbing nectar, the next moment they're they're all morose, back and forth, swinging back and forth. Sometimes they're winning the battle, sometimes they're losing the battle. They never want to learn the lesson. The
Mm,
devas are like, we mess up a lot, but we want to learn the lesson. So at least we need to be like that, And bhakti is so powerful, that it can purify one, even though we don't have the qualifications of the devas, but just the
mm.
power of the holy name, can kind of deliver us to every lesson that we need to learn, and still higher lessons, just by grace, just by mercy.
Mm. Kastuba, I love how you phrased and explained that whatever our desire is, and as a devotee of Krishna, Krishna then empowers us to be able to
Mhm.
fulfill that, right? And if it's a selfish desire, like I'm right, or I want this to be this way, I feel this way sometimes where I'm like, why can't I know I have my practice, I know this philosophy. Why do I feel like overcome by it has to be this way? Or because my desire is this is the way. And then Krishna's empowering at least my thinking in that way. Or
Yeah.
maybe it's not Krishna empowering my thinking, but you know what I'm saying? So
Well,
then it feels so
he can
hard to
empower forgetfulness of your own
of your
well-being, and so yeah.
exactly. And so it's like, oh, well, if we shift the motive, the intention around it, then we'll be empowered in that way. Because if we take one step towards Krishna, Krishna takes 1,000 steps towards
Of
us. This is
course.
what's coming through my
Yeah.
mind. So it's mercy. It's mercy then in that way too.
The bright light
Mm.
of Vermont brings it to its conclusion. Thank you.
Horrible.
Linda, did you get takeaways?
I got some good ones today, I
You're
think.
on it. I think you got to get a little closer to the mic or something like that. Though. I'm not hearing you so well.
Okay, I'm having a little trouble with my audio. I have to thank my host. I'm actually at Bhaktivedanta Manor in the UK.
Jai.
And they set me up in the best room with the best Wi-Fi, but for some reason
That
my
was a little bit
volume,
That's
better
better.
just now.
is that
Yeah.
better?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so, takeaways. Disconnection fosters absurdity.
Oh,
Mm,
excellent one. There's a
really
T-shirt for you.
That actually could be a t-shirt, yeah. We're all designed to serve with love.
mm,
Okay.
yes.
Don't settle for mundane goodness.
Keep going. Go higher.
If you don't feel shame when you're doing shameful things, you're not living right.
Yeah.
Mm.
We churn, we work, we sweat, we suffer, and then we learn we just need to let go.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I
A
know it's not
little
a
long for a
t-shirt.
t-shirt, but
It's good.
divine love prevails all trauma.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're going to keep hurting each other until we evolve.
You are good at this, Linda.
Really good. Really good.
And
Yeah.
ask yourself if you're going to be a demon or a deva.
What's it going to be?
But bum.
Yeah. You got
You
the
do have
music.
to ask
Thank you,
yourself that,
Kasuba.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got so much of both of it in us. I want to thank Kishori Gopi for being a wonderful co-host today.
Thank you,
Bright Light of
Prevails, for
Vermont.
having me.
I really appreciated it. It was great.
It was
Linda,
wonderful.
I want to thank you too. You did a great job keeping it going. I wasn't left alone here. I had so much support today.
We are with you.
We're here.
And
Okay.
Prabhu.
So again,
Proud of
tomorrow no
America.
show because we're in the ancient holy place of Hardwar tomorrow for the whole day. But we'll be back at an unusual time of 7:30 a.m. on both Saturday and Sunday for Q&A in Rishikesh. I think those may be really special shows. Some tell me something's going to be good, so please show up for those if you can. And I got to check around and see if these people have showed up yet. If Raghunath and the whole crew are here, I'm looking forward to spending time with them tonight.
Amazing. I can't wait to hear about your reunion tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, don't expect too much. It'll be normal.
Probably will have
Thank
a
you,
show.
everybody. And as Raghunath always says, it's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. Let the magic flow like the Ganges River.
Haribol.